In life's journey, we must seek to reflect, learn, and grow. Welcome to the Road to Rediscovery with your host, Aubrey Johnson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Road to Rediscovery. I'm your host, Aubrey Johnson. The Road to Rediscovery is about reflecting on life's lessons to learn and grow from them and to take it to the next level and help others who are struggling through dark times. You know, we all have chinks in our armor from our journeys as we navigate through life, right? These chinks are often represented by tears, blood, bruises, and so much more brought on by despair and devastating events. We've all heard about the pain and suffering and how it can build us and strengthen us, right? But how do we really heal from these? What are some of the tools that we can practice to heal and overcome these types of tragedies? As most of you know, self awareness is one of the Road to Rediscovery's cornerstones to growth. In fact, it's the first cornerstone. All growth starts with self awareness. This means taking that hard look in the mirror, taking responsibility, and holding ourselves accountable. My special guest is the embodiment of overcoming major adversities. She lost her son to suicide, experienced complete financial loss, and endured spinal nerve damage and herniated discs. By using an ancient Hawaiian healing technique called Huna, combined with a mindset shift, she's healed from a degenerative spine without surgery, completed 18 firewalks, and get this, authored her book, Find Your Friggin Joy. We're going to learn more about her, so get ready for an amazing conversation and help me welcome Belinda Farrell. Belinda, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Wow, it's an honor to be here. Thank you, Aubrey.
Oh, no, absolutely. Thank you. It's great to have you on the show as well. Fantastic. So, Belinda, let's just go ahead and dive into it. Can you share with the listeners where you're from and what was life like for Belinda growing up?
Oh boy. Well, I was born in Hollywood,
Hmm.
and I enjoyed, I guess, for a short time being there, but then we moved more north, and I went to Berkeley,
Hmm.
graduated from Berkeley,
Hmm.
and went to Washington, D.C., and worked for a senator there. The CIA had done some top security clearance on me, and so they're the ones that kind of trajected me over to Washington, D.C. And when it didn't work out for us to go
Mm,
together, thank God, I
right, right.
probably wouldn't be here today. Um, it set me to the Capitol building where I found a job with Senator Charles Percy.
Hmm.
And then my soon to be husband walked in the door, and I was married 6 months later. It all just seems like, you get on this bus and it just takes you in this one direction. But
Yeah.
I didn't last very long, I guess 18 years. And then I got a divorce at 40, and
Hmm.
I started to really embark on my journey. I had grown up in a Catholic environment, so I was always told I had to be prompt and willing obedience. That's what they teach you.
Right.
And the nuns would call my mother and say, "She hasn't suffered enough. She's too joyful." I was accused of being too joyful.
You're kidding.
Yeah, no, I was born that way. I was always happy, and
Of course.
in
Yeah.
the Catholic Church, you must suffer a little bit.
Mm.
So that's what I was accused of. And then eventually in eighth grade, I was expelled from Catholic school, which was probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
Oh my. Yeah.
And
There's.
then when I turned 40,
Hmm.
I started to just see I wanted to get rid of all the fears that had been plaguing me for all those years.
Right.
And so I hooked up with Tony Robbins, and he is one that takes your fears away. If you do a fire walk, oh my gosh,
Oh yeah.
I did the first one and I didn't burn. And it was just so empowering because you say to yourself, wow, if I can walk on 2000 degrees of hot coals, what else can I do that I'm not
Right.
doing? And that's what you start to ask yourself. And
Yeah.
so for me, it was driving a race car. I had always wanted to drive. I loved wheels. I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
skated and did all kinds of wheelies when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to drive a race car, and I didn't even know how to drive a stick shift. But I went to the Grand Prix road racing course at Bob Bondurant's School of High Performance Driving,
Right. Right.
and I found out that I had some talent. By the
Really?
end of yeah, by the end of the 4-day Grand Prix road racing course, I got hired to drive for Cadillac and Buick in New York.
Oh
And
my
that's how
goodness.
my career started. So see, if you don't ask yourself important questions,
Mm-hmm.
like if I had just said, I can't drive a race car, that's just stupid, and I would have just let it go. And then I would have denied myself a career that was just invigorating and enchanting for almost 8 years in my 40s. So,
Wow.
what are you saying to yourself that
Mm-hmm.
is really going to unlock a treasure chest of
Right.
things that are going to fulfill you and fulfill your soul? So, he was the first. Tony was. 5
Um,
years I was with him.
5 years.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. And you spoke about the firewalk. That's one thing I wanted to kind of touch on here. 18 firewalks.
I know.
Yeah. So can
Yeah.
can you tell me, can you tell us about share with the listeners what was going through your mind, okay,
Right.
before you took the first step of your first firewalk? What was going
Well,
through your mind?
remember, Tony prepares you so that
Yes.
your body almost becomes one with the fire. See, all
Mm,
we are,
okay.
all we are is earth, air, fire, and water.
Mm-hmm.
We're just a bunch of elements when you break it all down.
Right.
So with the fire, you don't burn. And I learned that when I was studying Huna. We would get our breath, whoosh, we would just
Yes.
make the breath so
Yes.
fiery within us.
Right.
And I realized that's why we didn't burn. I mean, it's an ancient teaching,
Mm,
but the,
mm-hmm.
the natives had been doing firewalks for years.
Right.
So you're really centered. You don't think that you're walking on hot coals. In fact, you say to yourself, cool moss, cool moss, cool
Cool
moss.
Moss. Cool
And you look
Moss.
up and you're saying cool moss, and you're walking very slowly and deliberately.
Yeah.
On my 8th firewalk, my son was walking, my daughter was walking. She had it all figured it out. She
No
figured it out.
way.
My son was walking, but I
Mm-hmm.
was focused on him, thinking, "Oh my gosh, is he going to be okay?" And I didn't focus on myself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
when you're not in state, you're going to burn.
Yes.
I burned
Yes.
severely. I
Oh
really
my gosh.
did. I had bandages and everything. So I
Mm.
thought I'll never walk again on these hot coals. But then the next year, I went to Maui and was in a certification program, and it was a 50-foot fire walk. And I had a
50 foot.
partner, 50 foot.
Oh my gosh.
When we walked off, we were in the sand, and then we went into the ocean. It was wonderful.
Oh,
But I was 150% in state.
yes.
Nothing was going to sway
Yes.
me out of state. So that's the key. You just have to be so focused. And
I
then I
see.
did 18, I guess because I was married 18 years. And after 18
Hmm.
firewalks, I said, I don't need to do this anymore.
Oh, perfect. No,
It
I
was
mean,
done.
I can completely see the metaphor there, Belinda, for sure. And and so what have you, well, first off, let me back up. Um for the sake of the listeners, the firewalk, is that one of the Huna practices, or is that a
Oh
separate
no,
practice?
it's separate. I
Okay,
worked
okay.
with Tony for 5 years. I was doing my stunt driving. uh,
Hmm.
But then I wanted to go deeper into
Hmm.
the unconscious mind, and Tony wasn't really ready to do that. So
Okay.
I started to seek other hypnosis programs. And this one program, a mastery program, sent me to
Hmm.
Hawaii, to the Big Island. Well, I never told Tony that I was afraid of water.
No.
Here I am off to Hawaii,
Off to Hawaii,
to an
across a
island.
big body of water.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And I was a little concerned, but I knew I
Hmm.
had to get over this fear. And we were doing a lot of Huna training. We were doing the Ho'oponopono, which is the forgiveness process. And then I was learning how to do the breath and to take the breath and to take it all the way up to the top of your head where the higher self lives.
Hmm.
And I must have been doing it for about 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden, these dolphins and whales start pouring into my mind and my psyche. And I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, I don't like sea creatures. What are they doing in my brain? But it was interesting because they really took over my life. That night, they started being in my dreams,
I see.
teaching me how to swim. I was diving with them. I was swimming. I was a dolphin. So
Mm.
in the morning, I was saying to myself, I got to be with these dolphins, but then I
Yeah.
have to go into the water. How can I do that without going into the water? Well, my desire to be with them, exceeded my fear of the water. And I went in and they just, locked eyes with me. They
Hmm.
downloaded messages to me.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
made me unafraid of the water. It was amazing. I've spent 25 years swimming with these dolphins.
That's amazing, Belinda. It really is. So, what virtues and what things about yourself would you say that, in reflection, that you've learned about yourself by overcoming the fears of, say, walking across hot coals, or or even getting into the water when you have a fear of water? What virtues were you able
Ah,
to unpack and learn about yourself?
it takes you to a place of no fear. I remember when I got in the water for the first time,
Hmm.
when I was going to swim out by myself and it was
Hmm.
still a little murky. And I thought, I won't
Hmm.
even be able to see the shark when he comes to get me. I
Right.
mean, you're thinking all these things, but I
Yeah.
knew I had protection. I knew I had angelic beings around me. And I just said,
Yes.
guide my way, help me to get
Yes.
to this point. I had people watching me because it was about a half a mile swim.
Mm.
And then when I got there, I turned around and swam back. And it's
Hmm.
the freedom that that gives you when you're out of fear, because fear is just really false evidence that appears real, but it's not
Yes.
real. It's an
Yes.
illusion. And when that breaks down, there's so much more that you can feel. Your consciousness just
Yes.
expands. And it's as
Yes.
though you just lose fear of other things. You just know that you're protected and that you'll be okay, whatever you do. So
Amazing.
it's that was a huge, I think I was also afraid of my emotions
Right.
because your emotions are in water.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I was yet to conquer the, well, it's in my book. And
Gotcha.
I finally had a part of me that was so dark that I couldn't ever bring it up because the unconscious protects you. But it finally came up and it was of a fetus being tossed into an abyss, into
Mm.
a,
I gotcha.
like a piece of garbage because
Yeah.
she's not wanted.
Yeah.
And I found out later when I called my mother, finally she told me the truth that I had been taken to 3 abortion clinics because
Oh
my
my.
mother and father had not wanted me.
Oh
So
my.
each time the doctor, I guess, somehow said, no, we can't do this. They went to 3 clinics. But
Hmm.
the part of me that felt that she had to prove that she was worthy to be loved,
Hmm.
that's the part that emerged. And I was tossed out into the abyss like a piece of garbage, but then I was lifted up by these amazing healing hands and placed safely in the arms of this divine being that was way up above all that chaos down below. And I just felt loved. I felt accepted.
Yes.
I felt totally worthy. And I
Hmm.
knew that that was from, a spiritual side of me, that I couldn't get that kind of love from my human folks.
Right. Right.
But it was okay. It was okay. And then my healing
Wow.
of my back just really accelerated. And I started seeing myself climbing trees. You have to have a good back to climb trees.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
the little unconscious mind saw that I was really happy climbing trees, and he would send that up the pipeline to the higher self. which drops it down into the physical body. And my back healed overnight after that was exposed.
Belinda, that is absolutely tremendous. I mean, my goodness,
Mm.
just how vivid you explained uh, what your mother told you about, the three different places to get an abortion, and then feeling the feeling of being lifted, right, by
Yeah.
some sort of angelic spirit, and I want to kind of talk a little bit more about that. We're gonna unpack and talk about Huna, okay,
Okay.
and I can't wait to hear more about it. And the listeners are really going to get a treat out of
Mhm.
the insights you share about Huna. Before we go into that, I'd love to talk about, if we can. Um, we all have struggles and pain that we go
Right.
through in life, right? And
Yes.
so I understand you've lost your son, and you've had some financial loss, and then of course, like you said, your spinal injury.
Right.
What was the succession of that? I mean, did you lose your son first, or was there the
Yeah,
financial?
that pretty much, he was living with me and he was getting ready to go take a master's course in
Okay.
Ohio.
Hmm.
And he was also in the army, so he was looking for his drugs at some, army stations.
Okay.
He couldn't, he couldn't really live fully without these pain medications.
I see.
And that had just been plaguing him completely. And yeah, he took his life at an army barracks.
Mm,
And it was just, I think it was an accident,
yes.
as he, I just think he didn't realize that he was going to go, because I had some kind of conversation with him afterwards into the
Hmm.
afterlife.
Mm,
And right after I lost him, I had to go live with my daughter.
right.
And it wasn't, was after that, because I had lost all my money in a Ponzi scheme. So
Oh
I
my gosh.
couldn't I couldn't afford to live in the house that I was living in. It all that happened right after my son passed,
So it all came like it all snowballed
rushing. But
and
then you
rushing.
just have to sell what you have. I had things to sell so I could
Right.
get some money.
Okay.
And I did not want to be a burden to my daughter. So I
Yeah.
was constantly doing this ho'oponopono, which is cutting cords.
Hmm.
And it was cutting the way that I looked at what was happening to me.
I see.
And so the more you do this cord cutting, the more it elevates you to a higher level and things come back to you. Within 7 months, I received some money that allowed me to move to another place and start over again.
That's a big part of like how the universe balance itself, right?
Yes,
I feel it is, and to me, mindset is everything.
right,
There are good times, there are bad times, there are seasons of pain, and
right.
people go through seasons of pain. And who are we to say one person's pain is greater than the other, right?
Yeah.
Unless we are in those shoes. It's, no matter how on the surface it sounds, when one person's pain may sound greater or less than the others, it's not for us to judge how much pain someone is going through, and so like you said, the mindset is everything. Things started to turn around and come your way when you got into the letting go type of mental mode and mindset. So a lot of people, like I said, go through all sorts of emotions, a myriad of emotions during this their season of pain. So from sadness to anger, confusion, even feelings of being victimized, and so much more. So
I
w-
had a little grandson
yeah,
that was so joyful. He was not quite two, he was just barely walking.
yeah.
And I was living there and I was in charge of taking care of him.
Hmm.
And so he literally saved my life, because every day I'd have to get happy because he was coming to play.
Right.
And so we would, just play together, go to the park together.
Hmm.
I'd take him to, some kind of nursery.
Hmm.
Um, it was just amazing. He was
Wow.
totally like a little angel sent to me.
Yes.
And I would cut cords every day. And
Hmm.
cutting cords means I would put myself down below. I would look up from on high and see the person that I was judging,
Hmm.
who had all of this pain and sorrow and
Hmm.
blah, blah, blah. And then I'd offer the forgiveness to myself. I'd
Yes.
say, I'm sorry. I love you. I
Hmm.
forgive you. Thank you. Because the person you're forgiving is yourself. And
Yes.
then I would cut the cords or spin a cutting instrument around me and
Hmm.
then watch that person float away.
Hmm.
And what
Hmm.
happens is you come at a higher level to deal with the issues that you have. I would do it daily, sometimes twice a day, and it worked. I mean, I was
Yeah.
able to find another way to make a living. I got into reconnective healing. Somebody did a reconnective healing on me, and
Hmm.
my
Hmm.
joy came back.
Mm.
The, it it just lifted all the grief.
Yes.
I don't know how that happens, but it dials up your frequencies. This is Dr. Eric Pearl's work.
Gotcha.
And then I had my reconnection done,
Hmm.
which is a 2-day proposition. And
Hmm.
after I had the reconnection done,
Hmm.
I was told I was going to write a book. And I
Mm.
normally never really got serious about writing a book because I wasn't disciplined. I didn't want to sit in front of a computer. I wanted to go out and play.
Right.
That's what
Right.
I like to do. And being serious about writing a book is just overwhelming. But they told me I was going to write a book, and I said, sure, okay, fine,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
let's get started. And
Right.
then
Right.
and then someone came into my life, my manager's fiance at the time, and he was very disciplined and organized, and he set me up. He said, every week you're going to give me a chapter, and I'm going to understand it because I'm just like everybody out there and I don't understand woo woo, so you're going to explain it to me so that I really understand what it is. And I used to teach third grade, and so I think visuals are very important. And I try to make the book very simple so that people understand it, maybe at a third grade level, but it
Right.
works.
I see. Man, that is amazing. Amazing. This, all of what you just explained represented your mindset as you were going through this despair.
Right.
Wow. And that's what you practiced every day, letting go, breaking apart.
Oh yes, I mean, do you brush your teeth
I do
every day?
every day.
Wow, well, that's you have the pearly whites on the outside, so why wouldn't you go inside and clean up the garbage or the dark stuff that plagues us all?
Completely.
People just carry that stuff with them. It's like a
Hmm.
sack of dead potatoes.
It is.
So,
It is.
yeah, every night I take a bath. That's my ritual, and I cut
Hmm.
cords.
Cut cords. Love
Yeah,
it. Love it. Oh, Belinda, thank you so much for sharing that. And having that type of mindset is very important. And a lot of the listeners and a lot of people in general going through dark seasons, going through struggles. At some point, it gets so overwhelming to some people that
right.
you can't see the forest from the trees, you
That's
know
correct.
and when you can't see the forest from the trees, you get so consumed with the current state of your issues and your problems that that it takes your mind completely off of attention and focus of resolution,
Right. And all
you
it
know
is, you're an art director, you're the director of your stories. It's
right.
like you're running a film, a camera is
Yes.
filming this story, and all you have to do is be a cosmic eraser and erase it and come up with a different story. And that's what cord cutting is about, is you forgive yourself for the way you interpreted it
Hmm.
back then, because
Hmm.
you're different now,
Hmm.
and you begin to resolve it and find a different way of looking at it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So now we're going to go into talking
Yeah,
about this amazing ancient Hawaiian healing called Huna. All right.
right.
And I can't wait until you introduce this to the listeners on what it is, a little bit of background and so forth. Before we dig into it, um, can you tell us, and maybe when you describe it, you'll be able to tell us. Um, it also involves to some degree some visualization. Is that right?
If you're not visual, you can feel,
Okay.
or it can be auditory.
Okay.
To say, you don't have to see the person down there. You can feel your mother and father down below,
Yes.
or feel your ex-boyfriend or your ex-wife.
Hmm.
And so,
Gotcha. So let's talk about Huna.
okay, well, it means secret. These were the ancient Hawaiian secrets that the
Okay.
Hawaiians practiced during a time of no mental illness on the islands.
Mm,
It was just their connection of male and female and how they connected to the universe and
hmm.
their environment. So they respected, they respected the seasons, they respected one another. They knew that if they said something to hurt themselves or to hurt somebody else, they would offer the forgiveness and cut the cords. They would do that every night at sunset when the sun would come down
Hmm.
into the ocean.
Hmm.
So it was practiced a lot. And
Mm,
then the missionaries came in the 1800s,
hmm.
and they said that that was superstitious and that it was sorcery, and they locked up the kahunas. Yeah,
Really?
it was considered illegal to practice huna, to chant, to do any
Oh
hulas,
my goodness.
not till 1997, 1979. The Religious Freedom Act was enacted, and we
Uh-huh.
could, I would have been arrested to even talk about Huna.
Mm,
So
wow.
it's gone through a lot of metamorphosis. But it's, again, like the old ways are not always practiced by the young people coming up.
Yes.
It's like in Italy, they have beautiful workmanship and beautiful art, but the kids aren't learning how to do that from their parents. Same
No.
as Ho'oponopono.
Hmm.
So you
Hmm.
have to really want to, take care of your insides. When I started learning about the Ho'oponopono, I felt lighter again. That's really the proof in the pudding. When you do the cord cutting, you
Hmm.
forgive yourself, you offer the forgiveness to yourself,
Hmm.
you will feel lighter because you're getting rid of that plaque of the soul, which I call the plaque of the soul.
Understood. Understood.
We
That
can do a little right now if you'd like.
Yeah, I would love to. And then afterwards, I would love if you can share with me the outlook on Huna down the line. You mentioned like in Italy, the beautiful paintings, but no one's teaching our children who are the future,
Right.
the art, how to appreciate it, and maybe even how to do it. So, you know, uh, we want Huna to live forever and to
Absolutely.
continuously be practiced, but of course there's generation to generation to hand down. We'll talk about that here in a moment, but I would love if you could give us an exercise. I would love to work with you on a Huna exercise.
Well, I just want to make sure that people realize that it's not a difficult thing, that you can do it even in your car,
Hmm.
anywhere. It's a feeling, again, of you're up on a platform,
Hmm.
perhaps looking down on a stage. Do you
Hmm.
want to close your eyes for just a minute?
Sure can. I will.
Okay. So
Hmm.
just imagine that you're up on high and looking down below you,
Hmm.
and you can place yourself. We don't have to know what it is that is bothering you, but just see him down there and know that that is not who you really are. The person who you really are is the person looking down upon this
Mm.
vision. And just see also your ancestors and the things that they brought in with their DNA and transferred to you, unbeknownst to you. And see anybody else or feel anybody else that is stopping you from your magnificence. And then just take a deep breath. Take a deep, deep breath. Offer the forgiveness to yourself. Just say the words, I'm sorry, I love you, I forgive you, thank you. And you can say that to yourself. And then take a cutting instrument of your choice, knife, scissors, chainsaw, spin it around you. You can shake your body a little bit and then watch the people float away or sense that they are already floating away. Tuck the leftover cords back inside yourself. You are a being of light. You do deserve forgiveness, and call your spirit back. Just call it back. You'll be able to meet with these people again at a higher level to deal with whatever issues are between you. It is suggested and recommended that you cut cords daily. And then you can come back and open your eyes. How are you doing?
Astonishing.
How do you feel?
I feel like I went on a short journey and saw what I thought was me, but it's not me,
No.
and saw those who gave me pieces of who I am, and then
Mm.
those who were against me, and practicing, like you said, forgiveness and love, um, and just letting it go. I feel a sense of refreshness.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel the, to some degree revived. My
that's
way of
great.
thinking has changed, and it empowers me to practice something like this every day.
It
Um,
doesn't take long. You saw how
no,
it just
no,
doesn't take long at all.
no, it doesn't take
Just,
long at all.
just like brushing your teeth.
Yes, amazing, amazing.
Well, I have it on my CD. I have a
Mhm.
CD called Chant and Forgiveness, and it takes you through the process of forgiveness with yourself. But you can also do the shorter version, which I did with you. Anything, even if somebody gets under your skin during the
Yes,
day,
yes.
put him down below you,
Hmm.
breathe on him, offer the forgiveness to yourself, cut the cords and let it go. And he will probably call you back and say he's sorry for whatever he did. That's what happens when you cut the cords from these people. They will want to forgive. They will want to say they're sorry. They'll come back at a higher level.
Again, all about how the universe balances itself out.
Yeah.
When certain things happen. Yeah, I tell you, I'm floored. I am really floored about this because it's exciting, and
Yes, it
one
is.
and one very exciting thing that we hardly touch on when it comes to past episodes and what we've talked about here on this podcast, Belinda, is something that you touched on that I think we need to bring to light to our listeners. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, a a lot of the dark seasons and despair and dark times could be with whatever issue is happening with
Right,
anyone, but a part of that despair can be the toxicity of self guilt,
right.
that people have. If I only did this instead of this, if I
Yeah.
only answered the phone when they called, if I only
Oh,
picked him up when I said I would pick him up and not be late,
right,
and they blame themselves for these tragic events that are happening, and they're living with that guilt. That's part of that dark season, and you
right.
really touch on how to forgive yourself.
How to just change the story, because it's got to change. These
Yes,
people,
yes.
they're creative and they're magnificent and they have something to offer, and if you're holding this darkness inside, it takes away the energy from you creating something in present time. That's
Yes.
the beauty of this Ho'oponopono, is that you always get to return back to the present time. And
Mm,
present time is where everything is recreated again.
that's right. And you're in the present. You're being mindful of the present moment.
That's right.
So coming back always matters.
And I
It's
wanted to
always a big
also
part.
say that Max Freedom Long is an author that
Hmm.
he moved to Hawaii to
Hmm.
teach, and he studied the kahunas doing all this magnificent healing work. They were putting bones back together, they were
Hmm.
creating just all kinds of healing modalities.
Hmm.
And he said, well, where's it written down? Well, it wasn't. So he took the time, I think he stayed there 50 years writing down what he observed. So
Oh my,
I studied all the books of Max Freedom Long, and
I
they are
see.
still available.
They are
So
still available.
yes, so thank goodness for that.
Oh, that is great. And speaking of books, Belinda,
Yeah.
let's talk about your book, Find Your Friggin Joy. What was your inspiration behind that? And I love the title, by the way.
Well, I had a girlfriend that was helping me with my dolphin seminars, and she was very
Uh-huh.
serious all the time.
Hmm.
She really didn't smile or laugh a lot. Life was very serious. And she was watching this turtle that was struggling on the rocks, and she was, oh, feeling so sorry for the turtle. We've got to
Yeah.
save it. And
Uh-huh.
I looked at her and I just said, Trisha, would you just find your friggin' joy? She, and she burst out laughing.
Yeah.
And because the turtle would have been fine, the tide comes in, the turtle goes
Right.
out. But
Yep.
I never
Oh.
forgot how that made her smile and laugh. If I could make her laugh, then I could make other people laugh. So when it came time to finding that, that
Yeah.
title, that's what popped into my head.
Hey, that was serendipitous. It was meant to be.
Yes,
Yeah, if she's serious all the time, and from you saying those words, she bursts into laughter. Yeah, yeah. Then that phrase had a deeper meaning besides just
right.
what you were telling her in the moment, for sure.
We just can't take ourselves so seriously.
No, you are so right. You are so right. We can't, I mean, life is short, and we have to have time to take joy in things, even silly little mistakes that we make,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, to kind of laugh at ourselves. We beat ourselves up too much over those mistakes. We'll never get past them.
Like me falling down on the floor to try to get ice cream out of the,
To get ice cream. Yeah.
and then I wrenched my leg.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. But
It's
again, the
fine.
things we do for ice cream, right?
I know. I love ice cream, but it's coconut milk ice cream, so it's not
Oh,
really
okay.
dairy.
I was gonna ask you. Okay,
Yeah,
no,
and I
that
can't do dairy.
okay. No, understood. I'm an almond milk person myself.
Oh, that's okay too.
Yeah, yeah. In fact,
That's
my
okay.
Starbucks drink here is made with almond
Oh,
milk. Yep.
I love
So,
Starbucks.
yeah, me too. I really do. So, Belinda, how can the listeners learn more about you and connect with you, and maybe even pick up a copy of your book or CD?
Well, it's on Amazon, where
Okay.
everything else is.
Hmm.
And my website is hunahealing.com. That's HUNA healing, HEALING.com. And
Okay.
there they can get the MP3s. I have 3 Hawaiian chanting CDs that are very powerful. One chant and forgiveness,
Hmm.
another one that puts you to sleep,
Hmm.
because a lot of people have a hard time going to sleep. And this is the dream chant,
Yes.
very powerful, powerful dream chant.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Belinda. We're going to make sure and put direct links to Amazon as well as the
Yes,
website on the episode show notes so the listeners can have direct access to this valuable information, great resources from Belinda Farrell. And
thank you.
oh, absolutely, directly on the show notes as they're listening to this episode. Oh, Belinda, it has been such a joy chatting with you. I
I
really
know
have
it went too
enjoyed myself.
fast.
No, I know it did, and I'm learning. I'm still learning so much from what you've shared, and I'm going to try to apply what you've taught me and walked me through in that exercise to
Okay.
practice it tomorrow.
You're
Okay.
going to feel a lot
So
better.
I'm sure I will. I took a few notes, so I'm gonna see how that pans out, for sure. And Belinda, right now, I would love to go into a segment with you called Three for the Road. In Three for
Okay.
the Road, I ask my guests random yet thought provoking questions that I challenge you to answer in 5 words or less. So, what do you say? You think you're up for it?
Okay, try me. My ear
Okay.
thing just went out, so I'm not sure what that meaning is.
Okay.
5 words or less, huh?
5 words or less. Okay,
Okay.
so here we go. And by the way, my questions are not cookie cutter questions. I don't ask the same question to every guest.
Okay.
They're customized for you based on your background and your profession.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Three for the road. Question number one. Tell me the absolute core message behind Find Your Friggin Joy.
Mm. Self-discovery. That's a good question. Self-discovery and not being a sissy.
Love it.
You
Self
have to.
discovery and not being a sissy.
That's right.
Yeah, no, that says a lot. That says a lot. All right. Great job. Okay, Belinda, question number two. This should be fairly easy. It's a fill in the blank. To heal is to
Feel freedom.
feel freedom. Man, two simple words that says so much. Very true. To heal is to feel freedom. Love it. Love it. Love that answer. I really do.
Coming down from the top.
Down from the top. Oh, beautiful. Okay. And question number three to top us off for Three for the Road.
Okay.
And this is, excuse me, this harkens to um, that island of paradise across the Pacific, Hawaii. Excuse me. And here's the question: is pineapple a legitimate pizza topping? Why or why not?
Why not? It's fabulous.
So it is. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's always been a topping for everything because it's
Yes.
sweet. It,
Oh, yeah. If
it
it's
often
sweet, it's worth
gets,
being a topping.
oh yeah, that's my favorite pizza. Pineapple,
uh,
pineapple pizza.
oh, good that I came up with the right question for
Yeah,
you.
you did. It's making me hungry
Oh,
already.
yeah, yeah. Now I see what you mean. And pizza's my favorite food, so it goes hand in hand.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, Belinda, thank you so much for
Mm.
coming on the show. It's been such a joy having you on the show. I hope we can stay in
Hug, hug,
touch.
hug, 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 hug,
Virtual hug, virtual hug.
hug.
I hope we can stay in touch and hopefully have you back on the show in about 6 or 8 months, and to
Okay.
catch the listeners up with what's going on, any updates you may have. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm hoping I won't be falling off a bridge to catch some ice cream
Ice cream or pineapple pizza.
or pineapple pizza.
Yeah.
Those are good
Uh,
questions.
oh,
Those are
well,
good
thank
questions.
you. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, they're all customized for my guests. So, and for the listeners, again, you can learn more about Belinda and the ancient Hawaiian healing method known as Huna by visiting hunahealing.com. We'll make sure and include direct links to the site in the episode show notes, as well as a direct link to order the book on Amazon. Belinda, any last words? It's great having you here.
Well, there's no mistakes, right? The
There's no
universe
mistakes.
puts us together with the people that we're supposed to, and you're the light that lights the world. So thank you, Aubrey.
Absolutely. My pleasure. We reciprocate. I thank you. And everything happens in the way it's supposed to.
Absolutely.
Everything truly does. All right. I want to thank all of you for tuning in and listening. And please remember to subscribe, rate, and review this show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, or wherever you listen to your shows. And more importantly, I encourage you to share this show with someone you know who appears to be at the end of their rope and feel that there's nowhere to turn, there's always hope, and you are never, ever alone. We're all roadies on this journey of life, and it sure feels good having you on the road with me. Thanks for listening. We'll chat again soon.
The Road to Rediscovery is an AJ Shark production.